Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today I want to talk about weapons in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and the future of the game when it comes to weapon variety and looting meta. For those of you who have been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I really like doing deep dives into weapon statistics and analyzing how they affect the gameplay in various different shooter games. So I've got well over 300 hours into PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and I've really come to the conclusion that this game needs a few more guns to make it a bit more interesting, and also just add some weapons to the environment that just can do things that some of the guns in the game currently can't do. There's plenty of guns in the real world that could be added to any game to increase the variety, but I think adding specifically 10 new guns in very specific categories could really improve the variety and mechanics of this game and sort of give you a bit more to think about when choosing what weapons you want to bring into the next combat scenario. Now there's one weapon category in particular that I think is worthy of its own ammo class. Technically, these guns could be classified as SMGs, but they sort of shoot larger caliber ammo than SMGs, and they're not quite punching at the same ranges as assault rifles do. Most games classify these guns as SMGs, but they use the larger caliber ammo. The MP7 uses the 4.6 round, the P90 uses a 5.7 round, and the VSS uses an extremely large 9mm round that is far bigger than the 9mm Parabellum that the handguns use, which could easily be moved over into this ammo category. I propose that the game adds a 5.7 type of ammunition. Obviously, this ammo would be stretched to fit a lot of different weapons that use similarly sized ammo, but it could create sort of a hybrid in-between category for these guns. The weapons and ammo type could be a little bit more rare. Moving the VSS into this category would make a lot of sense, and you could add weapons to the game like the MP7, the P90, and the FN57 sidearm. These could be kind of specialty weapons, again a bit more rare, but maybe pack more punch than the standard SMGs in the game and offer perhaps even more range. Something that you would consider bringing into the endgame a bit more or keeping instead of swapping out for a close range assault rifle. We can even use guns like the MP7 to get a bit more use out of the micro Uzis stock that's in game, as the MP7 stock looks very similar, so you could actually use the same stock on multiple weapons. And speaking of reusing attachments, I would love to see an AK rifle that can really make use of all the tac stocks that are in the game and even vertical grips. The AK-12 is probably the most modern take on the AK platform. It has tons of rail space, cool tactical stocks, and everything that you would want with it. You could sort of think of it as like the AK version of the 416, if you will. I think this could make a really fun addition to the game. Unfortunately, it uses an ammo type that's not really in the game. I would say it's closest to 5.56, but for the sake of variety, it would be cool to throw this weapon in the 7.62 category. And speaking of these types of weapons, I think it would be really cool to take the Groza out of the loot crate. Even if it needed a slight nerf in terms of its effectiveness or recoil, it could add a bit more variety into just terms of weapons that you will find around the game world versus loot crate. To make up for the lack of the weapon in the loot crate, you could add something like the M60E4, a heavyweight machine gun that could be used at further ranges than the M249 and maybe even further kitted out with vertical grips and other attachments. Just something to add a bit more variety to the machine gun world. Moving on to the 5.56 category of weapons, we've only got 3 guns that actually spawn in the game world. That's the 416 SCAR-L M16, and then we have the M249, which is a crate-only weapon. I think we could easily add 2 more guns to this category that add a bit more variety than what's already available. The Mark 12 would be an interesting addition to the game in that it's only a semi-automatic weapon used as sort of a designated marksman rifle. Obviously, it's using the 5.56 round, so it's not going to be quite as powerful as some of the 7.62 guns at range, but it could be balanced in a way in that it's very accurate and easy to use in the semi-automatic fire mode and very effective at medium to longer ranges. This gives 5.56 users the option of some type of designated marksman rifle. Then what about close quarters? Well, we do have the 416, although the 416 isn't necessarily the shortest gun out there. The 7.62 classification of weapons has the Groza, which is a bullpup weapon, and we don't have a bullpup equivalent for the 5.56 guns. This allows you to get a much shorter gun package, allowing you to get in close quarters, corner better indoors and in buildings. There's a lot of different bullpup weapons that use the 5.56 round. There's the Tavor, the L85A2. I think honestly the F2000 would be a pretty fun addition to this game, giving a 5.56 bullpup design for somebody who really wants a gun geared towards close quarter combat in the 5.56 platform. These two weapons would certainly round out the 5.56 category, just giving you a lot more variety with how you want to approach combat. Moving on to 12 gauge shotgun ammo. Shotguns are a lot of fun early game. They can be certainly good for room clearing, given that the game isn't performing too laggy, but there really aren't any top tier shotguns that people are like, oh man, I just got this shotgun. They're all pretty darn common, and most people just have their preference over which one to use. I think it would be cool to add sort of the Cadillac of shotguns to this category, something that could be decked out with all the different attachments. The KSG is a really cool short shotgun that could be decked out for room clearing or just something with a lot of ammo to deal with multiple players. It's got 12 rounds and a dual chamber system, could be outfitted with a choke and a vertical grip to handle better in intense situations. I just think it would be really cool to have sort of a top tier or more modifiable shotgun, something that you might want to keep with you and work on for a while, since shotguns really don't have too much modification you can do to them. So this would certainly add a bit more variety. Now when it comes to standard SMGs, we've got the 9mm and the 45 ACP. I've already got quite a few 9mm options, but I think it would be cool to sort of round out each category to have at least 3 standard weapons to pick from. In the 9mm category, I think we could add something like the MP5A5, sort of the most modern take on the MP5 weapon. There's plenty of different MP5s out there, but this one could be modified with tactical grips, a tactical stock even, since it does have a collapsible or solid stock for the weapon, and it could just be seen as sort of the ultimate 9mm SMG. It has a higher rate of fire than the UMP9 and could probably be a bit more accurate than the Uzi, so it could offer you some better options. When it comes to the 45 ACP category, I think there's some pretty cool things we could do to it. Right now we only have the Vector, and frankly not a lot of people like using the Vector. I think the Vector could use a little bit of balance just to make it more enjoyable at the start before you get the extended mag option for it, or maybe just always have the extended mag option. But in terms of adding new weapons, I think this game is ultimately going to have to take the Tommy gun out of the loot crate. And in fact, instead of adding the Tommy gun to the normal game world, just add the Thompson with the extended mag option and a foregrip option that will turn it into a Tommy gun. That would be kind of cool. So you could get a Thompson that shoots 45 ACP, and by upgrading it with 2 attachments, turn it into a Tommy gun. That would be kind of fun, and I think we would get a bit more variety in the 45 ACP category. And then when people rush for a loot crate, they're not disappointed when they actually find the Tommy gun. And funny enough, right while I'm making this voiceover, the vaulting video came out, and in the vaulting video, we do actually see the Thompson, the standard Thompson, on the weapons bench. So I have a feeling that PUBG is already planning on doing this. Now in terms of a high-tech 45 ACP option that's not the Vector, or maybe something that shoots a little bit slower with more control and can punch out to further ranges, you could add something to the game like the SMG 45 from LWRC. This is a really cool modern take on basically like a UMP 45. I think it's got a higher rate of fire, and it could just be a fun addition to the game and add more variety and options to the 45 ACP class. Right now 45 ACP is very, very limited in range. The Tommy gun doesn't have any optics, and the Chris Vector is really intended for close quarter combat. So this could punch the range out a little bit further with the sacrificing the rate of fire ever so slightly. And that's it. That's 10 weapons right there. I hope I kind of explained my reasons for each one, but I think those 10 guns on their own would really round out the weapon variety much more interestingly, and adding the 5.7 ammo category to the game would give you a few more options with SMGs that sort of make a bit more sense in what type of ammo that they're using, and just offer some more rare SMG type weapons in the world that you might want to consider upgrading to or keeping with you for longer periods of time, or even keeping over assault rifles. So I just think these new weapon additions could add a lot more variety to the game. Obviously, I'm kind of a big weapon fan, so I could name 30 guns that I would love to see added to the game, but for the sake of just sort of rounding out what's in the game right now and adding more variety to each ammo type and ammo category, this could be a really fun way to enhance the looting and gun variety in the game. And some of the other guns that I really want to add to this game that I just don't think make sense to put in a top 10 list in terms of game balance right now would be weapons like the Desert Eagle, the L85A2, the SVD sniper rifle, maybe even a Barrett 50 cal would be really fun. Those would be some really fun and interesting weapons also. But in terms of just picking 10 to add more balance to this game and make it a bit more interesting, I think the 10 I picked would really enhance the game overall. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like the weapon choices I've made here? Do you want more guns in the game? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.